New comic book days coming up very fast, everyone. So let's break down my top 10 indie comic picks of the week. Welcome back, everybody. Before we get into the top 10 indie comic picks of the week for New Comic Book Day on September 22nd, just want to give you guys a shout out to everybody who is already subscribed to the channel. If you aren't subscribed, go hit that button down below and drop a comment below. Let us know what you are looking forward to this New Comic Book Day for the indie books, and hit that like button. So let's get into it. First up, at number 10 on my top 10 picks this week is MFKZ number 4 from Happy Tank Comics imprint of Behemoth Comics. This one from Run. He writes and draws this. This is a French comic that is getting its English version now. There's a movie on Netflix already, so we kind of did the opposite thing here. Started with the movie, going to the comics now. But it's wild. I think issue 6 will wrap up the first arc, which is the movie, and I think after that, everything else comic wise, it's gonna be outside of the movie. I could be wrong on the exact number of when that's gonna happen, but issue 4 keeping the story rolling, and I'm loving it. Even though I've watched the movie, lots of extra details in here. Number 9 on my list is Midnight Western Theater number 5 from Scout Comics, written by Louis Southard, art by David Hahn, with a cover by Kalman Andrzejowski. I have really enjoyed this. Very interesting, very different vampire story we got going on. Hortensia is just such a cool character, and I can't wait to see how the team wraps this story up here with issue number 5 of 5. My 8th pick for this week comes from Image Comics. It is Vinyl issue number 4 of 6 from Doug Wagner, and with art by Daniel Hilliard and Dave Stewart. This is such a wild, crazy book, and the different serial killers that have been brought in as part of the team really just put so much into the psyche of Walter, and what he's thinking to solve this problem, to save the guy who he thinks is his best friend, who's the FBI agent who's trying to nail him for all of his killings that he's done. It's wild, crazy story. Things are getting horrific, and I love it. So that is why it's my number 8 pick this week for New Comic Book Day. Moving on to number 7 this week, we've got a Dark Horse Comics book, Killer Queens number 2 of 4, from David Boer, the writer of Canto, and from Claudia Balboni, who is the artist and cover artist on this one for the cover A. Issue 1 was so freaking cool. Absolutely a blast to read this. This one, the Killer Queens face their greatest threat yet, deportation. After their ship is shot down on a hostile moon, reformed galactic assassins Alex and Max find themselves locked up in a high-security detention center by some very hostile and very xenophobic aliens. When they get help from a tough-as-nails, not to mention smoking hot rebel prisoner, they'll fight their way through the deadly facility. Can they break out in time to complete their rescue mission, or will Max screw it all up by fawning over his new rebel heartthrob? So they got sent on a mission last time, and the issue ended with them getting shot down. This is fun. Great first issue. I'm sure this whole series is going to be a fantastic read. Coming in at number 6 on my list for top indie comics coming out this week, we've got Marjorie Finnegan, Temporal Criminal, issue number 5, from Artists, Writers, and Artisans, AWA Upshot. Garth Ennis is the writer on this one, and it is such a fun time. This is issue 5 of 8, so we're over halfway through the story, and this has time travel. This has the devil. It's got Stan, not Satan. This has lots of crazy things going on. A guy named Tim, a head that's not attached to a body that helps Marjorie shift through time. Lots of cool things. You don't want to be missing this one. It is a wild ride. And from the mind of Garth Ennis, that is no surprise. So that's why it is my number 6 pick this week. That takes us to number 5. We got another one from Scout Comics, the Black Caravan imprint. This one is Broken Souls Ballad, issue number 3, written by Massimo Rosi and art by Ludovica Serragati. Like I said before, Massimo Rossi is easily becoming one of my top writers, and this book is no exception to that. It is wild. It is exploring mental health in manifestations of monsters, and I'm here for this crazy ride that is being created with this story. So issue number 3 of Broken Souls Ballad is my number 5 pick this week. Taking me to number 4, where we're going to be eating the rich. Eat the Rich number 2 from Boom Studios. Love this cover for cover A on this. Kevin Tong doing the cover art. This is written by Sarah Gailey with art on the interiors by Pius Bach. Is Joey willing to pay with her life to uncover the gruesome secrets behind Crestfall Bluffs? Joey's beyond disturbed by what she has just witnessed and is very right to be. But when she confides in her boyfriend, Astor, his reassurance about his family's weird rituals and traditions only fuels her suspicions. Still, she'll need proof in order to expose the truth of Crestfall Bluffs, but what she finds produces more questions and danger than answers. Yeah, this story had a crazy first issue. Up until the end, I wasn't sure how I felt about this story, and the end kind of sealed it that, I'm sticking with this potential horror story we got going on here. Issue 2 of 5, it is a mini-series like Boom tends to do, but it was a great first issue, so let's bring it in with a second issue that hopefully just solidifies this series. Taking me my number 3 pick this week, it's got to go to Good Luck, issue number 4 of 5, another miniseries from Boom Studios. Matthew Ehrman writing this one with art by Stefano Simeone and cover art by Jorge Corona. And this is just wild. This last issue, even crazier, reeling from their recent discovery that Joseph is more than what he seems. Called that. Unfortunates must focus on their mission, but in order to have any chance to save the world, they must get to the core. Meanwhile, the Secretary of Luck and his cronies have invaded the Kismet Zone after our team's disappearance and may ruin everything. What do Ursa and Cassiopeia have to do with the final mission of the core? And I called that Joseph test pilot was not what he seemed, but I got wrong what he really is. You need to be reading this because this is just crazy. It's wild. Lots of twists and turns. Lots of crazy ideas about luck and the gods of luck and manifestations there of luck. It's just so much fun. And that's my number 3 pick. Coming in at number 2 this week, another book from Scout Comics, Impossible Jones, issue number 1 of 4. It's an explosive first issue, they say. The grin and gritty origin of comics' newest sensation. A thief who gets powers is mistaken for a superhero and runs with it. With no intention of giving up her criminal ways, mind you. All she has to do is fool all of the people all of the time. You know, that's an easy job, right? It's not impossible, it's Impossible Jones. Full Throttle Thrills by Carl Kessel and David Hahn. I'm really looking forward to this one. This seems like a wild ride. With this one, there's a cool 10-copy incentive unlockable cover, so store has to order 10 copies in order to unlock it. Really cool cover by Elsa Chartier. But yeah, this one is another cool one from Scout Comics. Before I get to the last one, I do want to say, I don't know if these Scout Comics books are coming out this week because last week all of the Scout books that were supposed to come out didn't, and they're not listed as coming out this week. So hopefully last week's show up and this week's show up, so we get just a huge Scout Comics week. That would be pretty cool. But I don't know. The Previous World catalog is still saying these are releasing this week, but last week we know that did not happen as stated, so we shall see what happens this week with Scout books. And I've got several Scout books on my list this week, so I'm hoping that they all show up. Finally, I gotta go with my number one pick being He Who Fights with Monsters, #1 from Ablaze. This one is written by Francesco Ardibani with interior art by Werther dell'edera, the artist of Something is Killing the Children. Lots of cool covers. Werther does a cover. We've got a Jay Lee cover B, a Dan Kitana cover C. Lots of cool covers for this one. You got your pick. But the story just sounds awesome. On All Hallows Eve, a community struggles under the boot of the Nazi war machine when supernatural forces come to play a part in the conflict. From the artist of the best-selling Something is Killing the Children comes a Halloween tale that will send shivers down your spine. Up your spine, apparently, not down. It's World War II, and the struggle between good and evil is in full force. But in Prague, the great Bohemian city is being oppressed by Nazi occupation, and the population lives in terror while the resistance forces try to organize themselves in the shadows. It is an almost impossible task, with the ruthless SS tightening their grip on every street and neighborhood with overwhelming might. Only one hope feeds the struggle. A crazy hope which rests on the fragile foundations of an ancient, monstrous legend. I'm excited for it. We got some World War II action going on, which is always interesting. I love the historical period and the history that you can look into about World War II is pretty interesting. But also then bringing in the supernatural side to combat the evil of the Nazis. And having Werther dell'edera on there as the artist is just such a good pick. I can't wait to see this in shops on Wednesday. It's super cool. And I don't think I've ever really read a book from Ablaze. So for me, this is cool to be able to dive into an Ablaze book. But yeah, He Who Fights with Monsters, #1, is my #1 pick this week. And I'm excited, guys. This is a good week again for indie comics and lots of good things. I had to cut several things that I thought would make my top 10 but didn't. Sweet Paprika is coming out this week as well. Radiant Black, I want to say #8's coming out this week. So we have lots of good books this week. And, you know, can only cut it down to the 10 for the picks, but more books that I'll be picking up this week than the 10 books on the list, of course. So that is it for this week's picks for the top 10 indie comic picks for the week of September 22nd's New Comic Book Day. If you've made it here, aren't subscribed to the channel, please go hit that button down there below. Drop a like on your way out and let me know in the comments below what you're picking up this week for New Comic Book Day. As always, collect what you love and we'll catch you next time.